This demonstration, we're going to have a look at installing the View Connection Server. Now, the Connection Server is responsible for actually authenticating your users to their virtual desktops in all essence. So what we'll have is we'll have a View agent installed within one of the virtual machines. The users will log in from a View client. They'll then connect through the Connection Server and be logged into their VMware View desktop. So what we're going to do in this demonstration first off is we're just going to install the Connection Server software. So I've already added my Connection Server to Active Directory, which is one of the requirements. Now that I've done that, I just need to locate the files to install the Connection Server. And what I have here is I actually have the file sitting on my desktop. So I'll double click on this little file here, which is going to allow us to install the Connection Server. That's now just preparing the View Connection Server for installation. So all I'll do here is I'll just pause the video until we get back to the actual wizard. Right, so we're in the wizard now, so we'll click Next. We'll just read through the user payment agreement. Select our next button again. We'll just read through the license agreement. Yep, we're happy with that, so we'll accept that. We'll select Next. What we'll do here is, this is my lab environment, so all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to install it on the C drive. I maybe have a D drive on here in the real world, but I will just go with the default. Select Next. What I want to install here, I've now got 4 options. So the first thing I need to do, because I don't have any VMware View components currently installed, I'm just going to go for the standard server. And what this will do is this will be my first connection server. Once I've installed this, again out in the real world, I'd have a replica server, which would then allow me to have an identical config and an additional connection server, just in case the first connection server died, user would then still be able to use their desktop. In our DMZ, we can stick a security server in there, and the View Transfer Server is used for local mode desktops. These desktops are offline desktops, whatever you want to call these things, but what we do is we take a copy of the virtual machine, we copy it down to the workstation, in this case maybe a laptop, we take the laptop home, we can work on the virtual machine offline. When we return back into the office, what we can then do is we can then synchronize the changes back up to the connection server and to the virtual machine. So we'll go with the standard server and select Next. What we're going to do here is we'll just configure the Windows firewall automatically at this point. And what we'll do here, ready to install the program, we'll just select Install. So this is going to take a little while just for this to install. So what I'll do at this point here is just pause the video and return back at the end of the installation. That's just now finished installing, so we'll just click the Finish button. Click the Close button, and that's now the VMware View Connection Server installed. The next thing to do will be to actually configure the connection server. So that's going to be the next thing that we'll move on to. So into the View Administrator console. This will then launch up the console. And we'll just say Ask Me Later in the case of Internet Explorer. So we'll just continue this website. We're not using a valid certificate, we're just using a self-signed certificate, which is why we're getting the error message. And all we're going to do here is we're just going to log into our connection server, and to do that we're going to use our Active Directory Administrator account. Okay, so we'll just click Login. As you can see, we're in now, so there's just a couple of little connection server tasks that we need to perform, and one of the things we need to do here is first off is just to edit the license. Now the license I'm going to use is going to be the Premier license, but we could also as well be using the Enterprise license. Now the Premier license gives us a lot more functionality, such as local desktops and linked clones, which we're going to have demos of a little bit later on. So what we'll do at this point here, we'll just select Edit License, and all we need to do here is enter the 25-digit license key. So select OK. What we'll do at this point here, as you can see, it's just not a valid license key currently, but you get the idea. So what I'll do at this point here is I'll enter a valid license key and just continue on. So I'll pause the video at this point. So as we can see, I've now put in a valid license key, and that license key is enabled for the Premier Edition. The next thing I'm going to do here is I just need to actually associate my connection server with a virtual center server. Something has to provision the virtual machines, and in our case it's going to be the virtual center server that will be responsible for doing that. So what we have here is within our VMware View Administrator, what we need to do here is just go into our little servers icon under View Configuration. Then within here what we're going to do is add our virtual center server, so just select the Add key. And in the case of the virtual center server, my virtual center server is vcenter08.qavdc.com. My username is going to be administrator. And what I need to do here is I just need to stick in my password. And also description, so we'll stick in the description of just VC for VDI. Right, now we're going to connect through by using SSL, so we'll use the defaults, and in the case of the advanced options here, we'll come to these in a later demo. And down at the bottom, I'm not currently using View Composer, so I'm just going to leave all of those settings blank. So we'll click OK at this point here. Right, so we've now added our virtual center server. The last thing to do here is what we have, if we have a look down at the bottom, we have event configuration. And what we can do within here is we can set up an event database. And what this will do is this will just allow us to have all of our events that occur within our connection server logged into a database. Now in our case, we're going to use an SQL server in order to configure this. So I'm just going to come into Edit Database. Then what I'm going to do for my database server is I'm just going to connect through to the database server, which in my case is SQL 2005. Then my database connection type is going to be Microsoft SQL. I'm fairly happy with the port. And then for the database name, I'm just going to specify my view events database. We log into that with a user account called viewAdmin. And then I'll stick in the password. And just confirm the password. And then just for the table prefix, because I may have multiple servers using this database, we'll just go with VE underscore. We'll then click OK. Okay, and that's the database now up and running. So just to check all of that, the next thing we'll do here is we'll just actually go into monitoring and have a look at the events and just ensure that we do have some events now logged. So as you can see here, yep, we've added the database configuration, and that is now the connection server installed, and the initial configuration is also complete. And that's the end of this demonstration. Thanks very much.